So you're in debt up to your eyeballs and you want to get out as fast as you can. Well, hopefully you watched the last video that I produced. I'll put a link up here so that you can catch that one. But let me share with you what kind of garbage is out there right now and that they're promoting as good financial advice. Check out this particular screen here. Use these 5 shortcuts to help pay down 5,000 or more in debt. Get out of 25,000. I thought it was 5,000. Get personalized loans. So get out of debt by getting into more debt. 3, pause interest payments. Don't pay interest until 24, or don't make payments. Cancel your car insurance. What the heck does that have to do with getting out of debt? Ask this company to pay off your late tax debt. If you're tired of this kind of crap, if you're tired of this kind of advice from financial supposed gurus that are supposed to be helping you get out of debt faster, then I think you're at the right video. I think you're in the right channel, because in this video, I'm going to actually share with you the fastest way, most efficient way to get out of debt as soon as possible. So let's get into it. My name is Paris Clough, and this is Financial Self-Reliance. On this channel, I love helping people manage, protect, and grow their money. Now, in this video, we're going to talk about how to manage your money effectively by reducing, eliminating, and managing our debts. So to begin your journey of getting out of debt, the first thing you want to make sure that you do is set a budget. You have to know how much money is coming in and how much money is going out and what you have left over, because that's how much money you have to work with when you're going to pay off your debts and when you're going to choose a strategy to pay off your debts. So again, I hope you watched the video that I made last week about what you should do before you get out of debt, or what you should do before you develop a plan to get out of debt, the steps to take. So in this video, I promise we're going to hit right into it, and I'm going to share with you four of the most powerful ways to get out of debt. You can pick and choose which one you want, probably a little bit of a mix of the strategies. And honestly, if you're going to do it right, by the end of this video, you're going to know how to get out of debt. So let me share with you a presentation that I created that I'm actually going to be doing as a seminar on helping people how to pay off debt more quickly. So the first thing you want to do is you want to list all of your debts. You want to know who you owe money to, and you want to know the details of that debt. So the first thing is to write down a list of all the Visas, all the MasterCards, all the Discovers, all the American Expresses, whatever you have, all your car loans, all your personal loans, every loan that you have. You owe your grandma a couple $1,000, you owe your dad, your mom, your brother, your sister, your coworker, whoever, whatever you write it down. So make a list of who you owe money to. Then how much do you owe to that person or to that company or to that organization? Then write down the interest rate that you want to have. So you want to have the name of the person, the amount that you owe, the interest rate that you're paying, and then finally, you want to have the minimum payment that you want to be able to pay that down. So the minimum payment required to pay that off. So that's the first thing that you want to do in paying off debt. You want to get your list of debtors, your creditors down so that you know exactly who you owe money to and how much. The next thing you want to do is start contacting those debtors to make sure that all of the information that you have is accurate and up to date, and see what they're willing to do to kind of negotiate. As an example, really quickly, I had a lady that I was working with, and she owed, I think, a lawyer or a doctor's office some money. Anyway, she thought she was going to get into big trouble, but I said, no, call them on the phone and see what kind of deal that you can make, because I'm sure that you can make a deal to pay it over time. And she called them on the phone, and sure enough, they were gracious, they were kind, they recognized her situation. They said, okay, well, we're willing to take payments, and these are the payments, the payment plan we're able to make for you and with you. And she was relieved, and she was totally surprised that they were actually able to, and willing to work with her. After you've contacted your debtor to make sure everything's good to go, then you choose the strategy and then begin. The biggest problem is that you go through all this process and then don't actually start and stick to the plan. So let's take a look at what the next step is here on the plan. So before we do that though, I want to make sure that you remember that there's a reason why you're in debt in the first place, and you need to address these issues before you start your process of getting out of debt. Because as another friend of mine, a client actually, he said he actually was given an opportunity to get a consolidation loan. Well, one of the rules in his consolidation loan was that he couldn't get into even more debt. Part of committing to that was he had to change some of the habits he had around spending money. And so it's important for you to realize, look, there's causes for why you're in debt. There's some legitimate causes, like maybe a medical expense, or maybe an emergency came up, or maybe some kind of tragedy happened to you. Those types of things, that's not what we're talking about. Those are probably the more legitimate reasons why you can be, or should be, or it's okay to be in debt. But if you're just overspending, you have bad habits, you're not picking good deals, you're just going out and buying things, throwing on the credit card, you don't have any discipline, that's what we're talking about. We're talking about making sure that you get disciplined on your spending so you don't go back into debt. So the first way to get out of debt, which is really common, a lot of people know about this, is called the debt avalanche. Now, the debt avalanche, mathematically speaking, is the best way to get out of debt, the fastest way, because you're going to save the most money in interest. The reason why is because what you do is, remember how I told you at the beginning to make a list of all of your debtors, everyone you owe money to, the total balance that you have, the interest rate you're paying, and the minimum payment? Well, this will tell you that you need to pay off the highest interest rate first. So debt avalanche is pay off the highest interest rate first. The reason why is because they're charging you the most money to have that balance. And so if you want to pay that off first, or if you pay that off first, you're going to be able to save all that money in interest. Now, one of the big problems with the debt avalanche, in my experience, now this is something that I've experienced, now each person is individual and different, but in my experience working with people is that they need to have an immediate win. Something where they're going to be able to say, I did it, I made it, it worked. And sometimes when you have the highest interest rate on a pretty high balance, it might take you a really long time to actually pay that off, and that can be discouraging. So what I recommend people do is they take the debt snowball first. Now, the debt snowball is where you take the account with the lowest balance and you pay that off first, because you get the opportunity to say, I did it, I had some success. And so one of the ways that you really work the debt snowball and the debt avalanche is what I shared with you at the beginning of the video with getting a budget, knowing exactly how much money you have coming in and going out, and then what cash flow you have, what positive cash flow you have. Because with any of these programs, what you do is you maintain, remember, go back to that list of all the minimum payments. You maintain the minimum payment on every loan that you have, every debt that you have, you maintain the minimum payment. And then you take all the extra dollars you have and you put it towards the debt snowball. Then once you pay all of that, like, so for example, let's say your debt snowball minimum balance is $100, but you have $200 in addition to that you could put towards it. Now you're putting $300 on that debt. $300 a month on that debt's going to pay it off way faster than only $100, if that makes sense. So then what you do is, once that debt's paid off, then you take the $300 and you move it to the next debt. And then once that debt's paid off, you move it to the next debt. So it's like a snowball effect that this debt, you take all your money, focus on one debt, pay that off, and then take the money you were paying towards that debt and move it to the next debt. So let's say the next debt is $75 a month. Well, now you have the 100 from your previous debt that you don't have to pay anymore because your debt's paid off, the 200 extra dollars that you had in your budget that you freed up because you were more disciplined in your spending. So now you have 300 plus the 75. So now you have 375 on the second debt. And then you take the 375 on the third debt. Maybe you have another $100 debt there, and that third debt is now 475. So you really start to compound how fast you pay off your debts. Once you get that first one paid off, now you really have some momentum to pay off the second one and the third one. At some point, now this is important, at some point in your debt payoff program or strategy, you're going to come to a point where you're about the same balance no matter which debt you choose next. They're almost right around the same. Within a few $100s, they're going to be about the same balance. At that point, my recommendation is to switch over to the debt avalanche and then start paying off the one with the highest interest rate first, because mathematically that makes the most sense. So start with the debt snowball, get those wins, get those first couple of easy ones paid off. That way you feel good, you free up some cash flow that you can start really doubling down on those next ones when you have to switch over to the debt avalanche, because most of the balances are about the same, and now it makes more sense to start with the one with the highest interest rate. So really important for you to realize that. Now, the final way that I'm going to share with you, or pardon me, the third way I'm going to share with you to pay off your debt is called cash flow index. Now, at the end of this video, I'm going to share with you a spreadsheet that kind of gives you an idea of how this all works. So bear with me as I explain the cash flow index process of getting out of debt. So cash flow index is where you take the total loan balance, everything that you owe, and then you divide it by the minimum monthly payment, and that gives you a number. The lower the number, the more cash flow you'll free up after you pay that loan off. And the higher the number, the less cash flow you free up. Now, if you're going to pay off debt and you want to pay it off fast, the best thing you can do is have more money going towards that debt than not. So the cash flow index process may not be the highest interest rate. It may not be the lowest balance. But what it will do is it will free up the most cash flow for you to then pay down the second debt way faster, because you're going to have more money going towards those debts. So that's why the cash flow index is really important. So before I show you the spreadsheet, I want to show you one more. I want to talk about one more way to get out of debt that's really advantageous, and it's actually one of the ways that helped me pay off over $50,000 in debt. Here's just a list of debt methods to pay off: balance transfers, personal loans, debt consolidation, To me, getting into debt or another debt to pay off debt is not getting out of debt. It's just transferring the debt. Now, of course, if you can consolidate that and get a better interest rate and you can have that money, more money going towards principal, absolutely, that's an excellent opportunity. But maintain those habits, those good disciplined habits, so you don't keep getting into more and more debt with your credit cards while you're trying to pay off the debt and the consolidation loan. So here's the one I wanted to share with you about: debt negotiation and debt settlement. So debt negotiation and debt settlement are something that is what I would do right before somebody would consider bankruptcy. In fact, it may not necessarily be before bankruptcy. It could be you're just in a really strong or a really hard place financially and you need help to get out of it. I helped a guy who had like $900 or $1,000 a month going out just to service his debts. With debt settlement, with debt negotiation, we were able to get him out of debt in record time, in a couple of years, instead of 10 or 15 years making those minimum payments. Debt negotiation was able to, this company that I work with, that I have a relationship with, which is basically called Freedom Debt Relief. Freedom Debt Relief is the company that I work with, that I have an affiliation with, that I can help you get a hold of these guys. If you have more than $10,000 of unsecured debt and you want to be able to pay it off in the next 1 to 2 years, maybe 3, this is the place to go if you're really struggling and having a hardship, or you just want to really make sure it gets done in the next 2 to 3 years and you've got $10,000 or more dollars. And I had a client just actually use their services. He had $20-something thousand in debt. He's now on track to be out of debt in the next 24 to 36 months. And he's super excited, super happy. And he called me up and messaged me and said that he was grateful for my referring him over to these guys to help him get out of debt much sooner. So now let me share with you the spreadsheet so you can kind of see some of these things in action. Okay, so this is the spreadsheet that I use to help my clients understand the difference between the debt snowball, the debt avalanche, and the cash flow index, and how they can get out of debt more efficiently and more effectively. If you'd like to be able to take advantage of this spreadsheet or spreadsheets like it, or work with me to help you get out of debt more quickly and more fast, please hit me up or send me an email at hello@financialselfreliance.net. I'll put the email across here so you can see that. I'll put a link in my description below for you to be able to contact me, and just let me know that you want help to get out of debt, and we'll make it work, and we'll do a free consultation, and we'll see where we go from there. But just to show you how it works, so let's say, for example, that you have a MasterCard, a Visa, a personal loan, and 2 car loans, and then a student loan. And so the debt snowball is what I did to first. The debt snowball, the MasterCard one is the lowest balance, and so the minimum payment's only $25. The balance is $1,400, and so what I would do is I would take every extra dollar I had, in addition to the $25 I was already paying, and I would pay that $1,400 off as fast as possible. That would give me a win-win situation. I'd feel good about my life. I'd feel good. I did it. I paid it off. The Visa, here's the second one. That's $3,100. Say it's pretty close to that personal loan of $5,000. So what you might do is switch over to the debt avalanche after that, so that you can take the highest interest rate first and get that taken care of. However, you might, after that first MasterCard's paid off, you might switch over to the cash flow index. So here we have the list as it goes with the avalanche. This is how you'd pay it all off if you did debt snowball. So this is the list if you did the debt snowball: MasterCard first, Visa, personal loan, 2 car loans, and a student loan. This is the order that you would do it if you did the debt avalanche. Highest interest rate first, you'd pay the Visa off first. So you can see that if you had to pay off $3,200, it would take you a lot longer to do that than $1,400. And so you would be just trudging along, trying to get out of debt. And you'd feel that. It's emotionally, psychologically, you'd feel that weight. And so I wanted people to get out of debt quickly. So that's why I recommend starting with debt snowball, get a couple of those paid off, and then move over to one of the other strategies based on the balance and based on what you can really do to free up some cash flow. So it would be Visa first, MasterCard first, personal loan, student loan, car loan 2, car loan 1, and that's how you would pay it off if you did the debt avalanche. Now, if you did the cash flow index, this is how you'd do it. The lowest balance you'd pay off first. The reason why is because $5,000 personal loan, $200 minimum payment. Now that's legit, because personal loans usually have a higher minimum payment to be able to take care of those. If you paid that one off first, I know it's much higher than the $1,400. It's higher than the $3,200. But if you paid that off first, you would have $200 more every month to be able to pay off the $1,400 and pay off the $3,200. If you see, the minimum payment on those credit cards is very low. It's almost nothing. So once you paid that off, you'd only have an extra $35 to move to the next loan. $35 is that's better than nothing, but it's not going to pay off a loan as fast as $200 would. And it's not going to pay off a loan as fast as $260 would or $286 would. So paying off your car loans can usually be the fastest under the cash flow index. However, I highly recommend those consumer credit cards. Man, those ones need to be the first ones. So that's why I recommend that you use a balance or a mix of the different ways to pay off your loan. So please make sure that when you're choosing a strategy, make sure you know all the strategies and then apply them effectively and apply them efficiently as you're moving through your debt journey to be debt-free and have a debt-free life. I hope you got a lot out of this video. I hope you now know the different strategies to get out of debt and you pick the right one for you for now, and then change as necessary to be able to make sure that your debt-free journey is as effective and efficient as possible. If you missed the last video I made, go ahead and check it out here now. Subscribe to the channel up here and check out this video up here that YouTube thinks you might like. Until the next video, have a great debt-free life.